Good morning, friends.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
We hope you are having a wonderful morning wherever you happen to be.
We certainly are.
We certainly are.
And Dave and I have matched today. We're florals today.
Yes. We are a true flower garden over here. Friends, if you're in Costa Rica, you might be voting right now, an important democratic duty. But if you're back from voting or if you're in another country, then thank you for joining us on this fine, beautiful day.
Here in Hermosa.
Here in Hermosa. And we are coming to you, of course, from Karma Tribe, which, Carly, is a pretty cool project, isn't it?
The best project. The best. Karma Tribe is a global gifting network, and anybody can get involved in it, which is the best part about it. And we have a website, www.karmatribe.com. Dave, can you throw it up there for our viewers, please?
With pleasure.
So if you haven't checked it out, you have to. And if you've already checked it out, help us spread the amazing word, because Karma Tribe allows people to seek something that they need or offer something that they have, which is amazing. And everything is for free. So you can check out the Facebook page, you can check out the website, and you can make offers or requests based on things that you have and you want to share with someone else, or things that you need. For example, if you need someone to help you with English lessons, if you need someone to help you with cooking, or if you want to offer that to someone.
Why?
Simple things or big things.
It's as simple as that. And at the end of the show, of course, we will have our favors of the week, where we will tell you about astonishing acts of kindness available right now on Karma Tribe. There's over 1,000 free services available in over 56 countries.
That's amazing.
And Carly, I just want to say I am stoked to see Cynthia tuning in from British Columbia.
Cynthia!
Good morning, Cynthia. Thanks for being here with us.
Mama Bear.
It's a pleasure to read where you guys are watching from, so let us know in the comments.
Say hi to us in the comments.
So, Carly, we have quite a guest today, do we not?
Yes, I just spent the entire morning chatting with him, and I'm super stoked to introduce him to you guys, because he's amazing, isn't he, Dave? He's a very inspirational story. You guys are going to love it. I mean, I was listening to his story like this the entire morning, so I'm super pumped for you guys to know him. He's really, really cool, super inspirational, really groovy dude. So treat this morning.
Yeah, and it's interesting how sometimes from life's greatest challenges arises great wisdom and a certain amount of refreshed zest for life. And you know, it seems like behind many of the most inspirational people, there was that kind of like a low point that they faced somewhere in their lives. Like I know Tony Robbins was kind of had an alcoholic mother who abused him, and there's all kinds of examples like that. And isn't that funny how just as life and death are inseparable, it seems like suffering and then wisdom are kind of inseparable too.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I mean, I feel like we've all had kind of a down point in our lives to some degree, and we needed to find that inspiration from somewhere. I feel like everybody can relate, but obviously to different degrees, because obviously not all suffering is the same. But this story today that you guys are going to hear is really, really awesome, and it's also a story that luckily has an amazing ending, and that really, really will inspire others and hopefully inspire you guys today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let me just say, good morning, Pamela, watching from San Jose.
Hola, hola.
So great to see you. If I'm suddenly blinking, it's because a bug just flew in my eye, but sending you a big hug to San Jose. Hopefully you get a chance to vote today. Carly, without any further ado, I mean, I can't really contain my enthusiasm anymore. Let's bring on the man of the hour, the esteemed Michael Jullian. Come on down.
Come over, Michael. Come join me. You can see your... there you are. There.
Yeah, okay.
How are you? How are you this morning?
Good.
Good. We had a nice little chat this morning. Michael has been telling me all about his story this morning, which when you ask somebody, you know, what's your story, you don't quite expect what he's going to tell you. So, Michael, tell us like a little bit about yourself. First, like, you know, where you're from and a little bit of, how you got to where you are today.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I am a 50-year-old person who has been part of the skate and surf and music scene for a lot of years. I'm self-employed. I'm a videographer and do video commercials for companies for a living. And, I'm highly interested in music. I've been a professional musician for a long time. So, yeah, and I've been coming in and out of Costa Rica for about a little under 6 years now, and moved in August, and I'm pretending to live here right now, so we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, we're happy that he's here, for sure. So, Michael, you have our super interesting story that you're going to tell us today, a little bit about a challenge that you overcame in your life. So tell us a little bit, like rewind, 6-7 years back, and tell us a little bit about that day that you were at your friend's house visiting, and what happened to you.
Well, I was involved in a pretty catastrophic accident. We were celebrating an addition on a friend's house in Swampscott, Massachusetts. We were up almost 2 stories high, and we were on some scaffolding that was very safe, and unfortunately an accident occurred. An individual who was a very large human being kind of rocked the structure, and 4 of us fell. And in the air, I tried to protect a couple of ladies as best I could, but when we hit, the result was I shattered my neck in 3 places. I was hit by 3 16 by 20 boards in the neck, which shattered the C1, C2, and C3. And it was pretty devastating night in that it kind of ended my movement and stalled my life for what has been the last 4 or 5 years trying to get through in recovery.
So Michael was telling me so this accident happened, it was 6 or 7 years ago?
The accident is about a little under 5 years old.
Okay, so 5 years ago. And the way that all of the material from the scaffolding hit the back of his neck, it explained exactly what happened to your spine. Sure. It's incredible. I can't believe that he was still walking around.
What happened was that it broke the C1, C2, and C3. The bottoms of all the discs had broken off, and basically cracked on the side, on the right side where the boards had made contact. So over that period of time, I had continued to surf and skate and did not receive any medical attention. Those pieces broke off and now were embedded in the center of my spinal cord, and that's why I was having synaptical difficulty and lack of response. And so what it resulted in was a full-scale experimental lumpectomy. It was done at Mass General Hospital. It was done by a brain surgeon. At the time, I was told I was the 14th person to have anything like this. And the end result is it's about over 32 pieces of titanium alloyed and metal and screws in my neck holding me up. So
incredible.
Still healing and trying to get over what I have.
And you had to overcome a ton of other things too. You had to have like heart surgery in order to be able to have the neck surgery, and then you had to recover from that, and then you were able to. So when you went in to get ready to do your neck surgery, they told you, actually no. Oh. Truck passing by. They told you that no, sorry, your heart can't take it. We actually have to do an open heart surgery before we can do your neck surgery.
Yeah, that is true.
How'd you feel in that moment? Because you were like, okay, this is a huge thing to overcome, but I can do it. And you were feeling, positive. I can recoup from it, and I'm so lucky that I'm still walking. And then they said, oh no, actually, we have to cut open your rib cage. And
well, I was definitely in some shock. I mean, I was in denial. It's that space where, if you've had something really serious, I don't know, I've got a high threshold to pain and I can be somewhat stubborn in terms of my body system. So, but I think I was relieved. Mm-hmm. I knew that if I moved forward, I had no other choice, right? I was there.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were going to let me go home.
Yeah.
So it was actually kind of a relief to be able to go in and get the cabbage, because the cabbage would enable me a better circulatory system. My heart would be healthy, fresh, and ready for the next surgery.
Amazing.
So that was kind of the thinking. And I think when I got the cut and cath that day, I was producing stoked energy right there. I was thinking, all right, well, there's no choice. Mm-hmm. You got to knock this out, and then we can go get the big one done. So, yeah.
Amazing.
But yeah, they were done 8 months apart, which they said could not be done. To heal a cabbage in your sternum basically takes 2 years. But I did both surgeries 8 months apart. So.
What gave you that inspiration to get ready, 8 months apart from doing your heart surgery to getting your neck surgery?
Well, just a couple of things. I mean, life had been shut down, so I wasn't able to do the two things that I'd love to do the most, which is to be creatively, purposefully working. Number one, playing music, and then to be active.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the thinking was, all right, all of that is shut down. If I focus all of my energy toward doing exactly what I'm told to do, what they're going to do to me, and then how to heal, how to transform now, I just kept my focus on that, and it just started. I just started to really like create a lift and kind of stoked energy inside of me in that moment for this. This is the challenge. This is what you're doing. This is the work. And I think that was the catamount moment where I realized, wow, yeah, I've got to focus on, what's at hand.
Yeah, for sure.
Nothing else.
So then after you had all of your surgeries, obviously you had a huge road to recovery after that. And you spoke to me a little bit about feeling, really down and like not having a purpose after, and not even being able to like literally sit at a computer and work, like not being comfortable to do anything. So waking up and not having really any sort of purpose that day because there was nothing you could do to help yourself or to help others. Like, how did you feel in that moment?
Yeah, it was really, really challenging. I mean, there's no doubt I could have easily slipped away into lots of things, and heavy duty depression, and I refused to take painkillers. I've been doing all of this without anything.
Really?
They want me on the hardest stuff, and I'm just highly against anything from the pharmaceutical industry. So, but it was really, really challenging. And you come out of this, there's the high, but you're feeling horrible. Heart surgery, it's very, very difficult to overcome. In those first couple of weeks, those first couple of months, you actually feel worse than you did before you went in. It can make you feel very low and depressed. But of course, I've also got the neck brace on.
Right.
And so, I'm just in, an ultimate numbness.
For sure.
And I don't know. It's just the process took maybe 3-4 months, maybe. And there was a big space of time there where things were very volatile. I was drinking a lot. I was very down. I was fighting the thing. I'd be very high and positive one day, and then the thing would come smashing in on me again, and I would, hit a low, and I mean ultra low. It's almost indescribable. You feel like you're dying all over again. And I think a lot of that feeling was coming from the idea that I couldn't be productive. It wasn't the pain per se. It was frustration, anger, tension, hypertension about not being myself,
right?
Not being able to work.
Your life completely changed.
Yes.
You were like this skater, musician, surfer, I can't imagine. Oh my goodness. So then, you were super inspirational. To me, listening to your story is awesome because when people hit, a low like that, getting out of it, obviously, everybody copes with things in a different way. Tell us a little bit about, what inspired you and how did you cope and how did you get yourself out of that funk?
Well, that's a really good question. Once I started to realize there was no way out of that feeling other than to start looking at people who had been through similar experiences, or if not similar challenging experiences when life is almost taken away from you.
Right.
So here I am at home. I've got the brace on. I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. I can't work. I can't sit in a chair because it's too painful. I'm watching my wife go to work every day, and she's working so hard to keep us alive. And so what I made my mission watching videos on positive people who had overcome really, really difficult challenges or obstacles in their life.
Right.
And I based it on whom and what they had done, not necessarily on their stature or
their status.
Yeah, their status or anything like that.
Right.
It was about
story.
What happened. Yeah, what is your story? What did you go through? And I started watching YouTube videos, and of course, I'm highly inspired by musicians, and David Grohl was a huge inspiration. I watched a video of him talking. It's the famous interview of him talking about how he got up on his feet and got past depression and sadness over Kurt's death, and that time where he realized that he really wanted to be impactful in his life again. He wanted to play music again. He was thinking about maybe creating a band, and Why do I need to be behind, you know, a drum kit? I can play guitar. I could, you know, all of that kind of stoked energy. So David was a huge inspiration. I ended up watching iconic surfers in the surf world. Tom Carroll, who's always been a massive inspiration to me and is a massive icon in the world in terms of surfing, has overcome ridiculous obstacle and challenge in his life. So he was a huge component. And then I was watching people who had been through hard stuff outside of their lives, or, you know, had loss. So surfers, musicians. Bruce Irons ended up doing a site called Live It Stoked after that to promote that positive energy. So that's kind of how it came about. That's how LAS was born in a way.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about now, you know, what you're doing to share that energy with other people. So what's the, you know, you talked a little bit about the people that inspired you, but what do you really think was like the driving force behind, you know, getting you up in the morning to even start to look at the inspirational videos on YouTube? And then where did you start to see the change? Like, what feeling did you have inside you where you recognized, okay, something's shifting here?
Well, the beauty of having injury and then surgery like this, when you're cooped up, you're literally trapped inside of your own dwelling, is that it gives you lots of time to think.
Right.
And that can be positive or that can be very dangerous. It depends on how you go about that. But in answer to your question, I think it was a culmination of watching specific people in a run of videos within the course of about a week. I also practice the paramita, which are the 6 practices of Tibetan Buddhism.
How long have you been practicing that?
Like 18 years.
Okay.
So I had to revisit really the center of my spirituality and, you know, my focus with that. Those two things combined, I think what I realized was that it dawned on me that all of us collectively as a world conscious have a medicine and a peace offering to other humans in the world if we share our stories. You know, Tom Carroll and I are on camera on Live It Stoked, and in the interview, you know, we both completely and totally agree, you know, and Tom says it, he says, you know, our stories are what is of worth. That's what we have to give each other. Everything's in our stories in terms of life. And, you know, that's when I really realized that, hey man, you know, Live It Stoked, this website that I'm creating and these interviews I'm doing, this has a much higher purpose than I ever dreamed. Because if we overcome our hardships and we share those stories with the world, this can become a healing, positive, mental, spiritual, metaphysical offering to people in terms of their overcomer challenge in life, you know?
Well, I mean, obviously we, like at Karma Tribe, love what you're doing because it's all about sharing, you know, like that's what Karma Tribe is about, sharing, and you are using, you know, an online forum to do that as well, but sharing stories. So, you know, what is Living Stoked? Because now you've said it a couple times, but for our audience, you know, like what is that? Yeah.
Live It Stoked is a website that I created right after I was actually supposed to be still healing. I took the neck brace off 4 months early. My daughter and I, and the support of some other people, David Cropper at Cinnamon Rainbows in Northampton, New Hampshire, who I can't thank enough. I'm blessed that Dave was such a driving force and backed the project. But I got out there and started shooting videos and created a website so that the world could check out exactly what we've been discussing, which is just the shared worth of our stories in terms of overcoming obstacle or challenge, and then the exposure of what stoked energy is. That is an actual energy source inside of us. This is not just a colloquialism that, you know, Jeff Spicoli used on Fast Times at Ridgemont High. You know, it's real stuff, and that it can be healing to people. So that's what I did. And liveitstoked.com is out there. There's a global community that's been involved with it now, and it's led to multiple interviews. And we're starting to get a global consciousness going in terms of stoked energy. So it's really becoming a lot of things. We're going to be doing LAS events, which are going to include art and music, and there's been some talk about us working in Venice, California. We may be going to Hawaii.
Amazing.
So, but we've got folks, you know, understanding that this thing wasn't necessarily about me primarily, and that you don't have to be associated or affiliated with sports per se. I think what happened was it took off based on surf culture, knowing stoked energy, and a lot of us are the ones who bounce back real fast because we just want to get out there again.
Right.
You know? And I think
You
that's
got the
all.
drive.
Yeah, that's where the fire comes from. You know?
Amazing. So now doing this, you know, how do you feel like you've grown over these past few years as an individual since the accident to now?
Wow, that's a tough one to answer. It's still a journey. I mean, this thing is still fresh. Obviously, I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to be pain-free. But it has been one of the most enlightening experiences I've ever had in my life. It really has taught me to regroup, to readdress, you know, who I am, what my purpose was going to be in life. You know, things like this can completely and totally make you revisit your focus of compassion, not only for other people but for yourself. So yeah, it's been enlightening. It's been a struggle. It's been hard. It's been beautiful. And it also has led me to so many beautiful people all around the world. So
What a blessing.
yeah, it's really strange, you
Nice.
know, when the freight train comes, if it just got your tennis shoe, you know, it's like it was just a shoe and, you know, you have you. And I think this is what's been amazing, is that it's actually, in such horrible circumstances, provided so many beautiful, positive moments. You know?
Well, you're super inspirational. I hope you guys are feeling as inspired as I am this morning, because to find that positive energy in someone who goes out there to help themselves, but then you went on to help so many other people too, is really, really cool. So thank you so much for sharing your story with me.
Yeah.
I'm going to let Dave get in here and put you on the hot spot and ask you all those tough questions, you know?
Okay.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
You're the best.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Carly. Hello, Michael. It's so great to be here with you. Your story is very inspiring.
Thanks,
And
man.
so you said you know, stoked energy it's a real thing, you know, inside. It's not just an expression. Could you elaborate on, you know, what really is stoked energy?
Well,
Or how does it behave?
I mean, it's an open-ended question because it's a unique process for all of us, right? I mean, we're all human beings. We all have a different way of going about things. It's going to be different for every different individual. But I really do truly believe that a stoked energy is the center of our existence as human beings. I mean, you know, obviously, I think as human beings, we can all agree on one thing, which is the basic purpose was to be happy in some way, shape, or form, get the most out of our lives every day, you know? But that electricity that makes you want to get up in the morning and accomplish something and to feel or express happiness and outreach to others, that's what stoked means for me. You know, if I don't have a charge and a way to get a laugh and a smile, you know, for myself and out of somebody else during the day and get something done that's beneficial, I don't know, I'm not feeling stoked, you know? So, you know, it's simple, I guess.
So if you guys are unfamiliar with this word, to stoke, it's when you basically like kind of shake up the embers of a fire so that more oxygen reaches them, and then the fire can blaze higher. And I think it's a beautiful metaphor, you know, as you were just saying, that like life is about being stoked. It's about that kind of those spontaneous possibilities that we have as humans to basically like light up and spread our fire to others and basically reach our full potential. And some people live in a kind of a stagnant way, unfortunately, where they're not really feeling much of a fire inside. They're not really spreading much fire to others. And so how does one activate that stoked energy? Is it a choice? Is it something that just happens to you? What would you say to someone who's feeling like stagnant right now in their life?
That it is a choice. That if you want to feel better, you want to feel happier, you have something burning inside of you that you know your life just is not exactly where you want it to be right now. You're dealing with challenging circumstances, if you're feeling depression in any way, that if you relax your mind and you truly believe in yourself and you know that you can establish peace within your subconscious and your inner consciousness, and maintain that sense of calm long enough, stoked energy can be achieved. This is a choice. It's a decision that you make. It's not something that arrives at your door. And so many people right now are completely and totally absorbing all this stuff on social media. And as we know, even the social media we're using right now is such a beautiful thing with a tool, can be so detrimental in terms of our distractions. So you got to be very, very careful right now. You know how much you're spending your time with usage in that capacity for, you know, for what. But yeah, man, it's a choice. You know, do you want to get more, feel more out of your life? This is not something that's just going to fall into your lap by, you know, happenstance or by luck. There's no luck involved.
Yeah. It seems like it's a choice, but at the same time, it's like a muscle where if you're living a life of just addictions, like to social media, where you're just looking for that instant gratification, how can you build up your stoked energy? You need to kind of like focus on yourself and focus on what you want to do to kind of build that muscle. Would you agree with that?
I would completely agree with that at 1,000%. Absolutely. It becomes a muscle. You're using all the right words in my book, you know.
And you also said, if you believe in yourself, but even it's not like if you believe in yourself, then this is available. It's like if you make the choice to believe in yourself, you know, even believing yourself is a choice, and it's like a muscle. And if, like, the girl I used to do this show with, Jackie, she had a little ritual where, like, every morning she would look in the mirror and be like, "Good morning, I love you, you're the best teacher in the world, and today you're gonna have a wonderful day." And so just that kind of like, self-love can be basically like a muscle that you can build up. And I think that's really beautiful.
Absolutely, man. And I'm glad you brought up self-love, because self-love is absolutely at the core center of stoked energy. If you do not have a true awareness of who you are unto yourself, not your perceptions or your worry or your fear or any other distraction that has anything tied to anybody else's opinion or perspective of who you are as a human being, stoked energy is available to you. It's sitting right inside of you, and you can overcome virtually anything if you're still alive. It doesn't matter what we've lost in terms of anything. So you just nailed it. It's a muscle, and you definitely need to understand that as a human being, you possess it. If you think you don't, it's because you haven't allowed yourself enough time to even consider the fact that you possess it. There is no getting it.
Yeah, or you haven't made the choice to embrace it.
That's exactly right.
Good morning, Rachel. Great to have you tuning in from Vancouver, my sweet, sweet sister. Good to see you there. So what is so earlier you talked about compassion and how, like, stoked energy, like, goes hand in hand with compassion, and I'd like to, like, expand on that. Is do you get more stoked energy from helping others, or when you get stoked energy, then you want to help others, or what's the relationship there?
Here again, I mean, it's kind of an open-ended question. It's going to depend on how you operate as a human being. I think it's a path. You know, obviously everything is a path. For me, I mean, I'm an older person, I'm a disabled person, so I have a perspective. You know, all of our perspectives are going to be different in some way, but for me, it definitely comes from the balance between the two. So giving to others, informing others, outreach of others, support of another, but then understanding that there are times where you need to receive. I mean, that was virtually the reason I had my open heart surgeries. You know, they don't know what created these infarctions. When he opened me, I had the heart of a 19 to 24-year-old man, you know, above 45. That's unheard of. What they attributed it to was that I was pushing out too much stoked energy and too much love and compassion in other people, and, you know, was not receiving. You know, this morning we talked about that, you know, and, you know, it was mentioned, you know, if your cup isn't full, something negative might occur there too. So I think it's really like anything else. It's the yin yang balance of how we give and how we receive energy that creates.
Yeah, energy. And this is something we've talked about a lot in previous shows. It's like there is no giving without receiving. There's no receiving without giving. They're two sides of the same coin. And on Karma Tribe, we see a lot more offers than we see requests. And like the thing is like in order to give someone the pleasure of offering their talents, someone needs to be open to receiving. And so I think as a society, we need to be more open to receiving. And also, when you're open to receiving something, then a friendship is born, you know? And it feels good.
Relationships are made.
It feels just as good to give as to receive. And so we have to be open on both sides. So like another kind of interesting thing and how this relates to Karma Tribe is that karma basically means action, right? And so in the same way, like some people think like, oh, karma means like things I did in the past are gonna give me like some superstitious charge on what happens in the future. But what it really means is that your actions basically like create your life. And so it seems to me that like stoked energy is basically like kind of like that choice is I'm going to make actions to like liven up my life, kind of like lively up yourself like Bob Marley. Like I'm going to like shake myself out and start making good things happen and just engage in the dance of life to the maximum.
Yes.
And so it seems that to me that we have like very similar philosophies on how we want to like activate people to be well personally, and realizing that the more well you are personally, the more kindness you're going to spread to others, right? You can't really do good deeds and spread stoked energy if you are not feeling good yourself, right?
This is true. This is absolutely true. You know, we got to always focus on the idea that that energy that is inside of you will not be tapped by strictly giving it away. You've actually got to have a core inside of you that is that direct, it's a conduit, you know. It's really cool that you brought up the idea of karma, you know, people misunderstanding or misinterpreting the word karma, you know, and I love the fact that you use the word superstition, because this is a very common mistake, you know, that karma is not anything superstitious, you know. It does mean exactly what you said, you know. In Tibetan Buddhism, it means cause and effect. If this, then this. That's what karma means. So it gets a little fuzzy when you say good karma, bad karma. You know, this has been the evolution of the world using that word for another purpose linguistically. So, but yeah, it comes from within, and you've got to either create it or you don't, and you've got to understand that there are going to be times where the well will be dry if you're out there trying to give it away every day. What happens if nobody's there to pat you on the back? What happens when nobody's there when you're going through something really hard and you're healing from something near death? Or what's going to happen when, you know, you're having all this financial crisis and there's really nobody to rely on? Everybody else has got their problems, you know. This is when it becomes crucial that you understand the balance between self-love and stoked energy. It's a creation process. It's a fire inside of you. It's like, you know, just like we said, you know, my book is going to be called Fire in the Stoke, meaning, well, without, you know, think about it. If you have a campfire and it's been keeping you warm and you've been cooking your food and everything's been cool at the campsite and it's just dimming and it's getting to the point where it's going to go out, you know, without that stoke, there is no fire. That fire is going to go out. And let's face it, if you're low on fuel or matches, this is a problem. So, it's about how we kindle that energy
exactly
to stay alive in an electric way.
I certainly find, well, for example, before the show, you know, I was feeling slightly groggy, and I just basically, like, you saw my little routine. I started like jumping around and screaming and howling and clapping my hands. Carly did the same, and then we were ready to go. Like, you can activate yourself with a choice, and sometimes even I'm around the house, I'm just kind of like, you know, obeying Newton's law of like an object at rest tends to stay at rest, and just kind of like, and then I'm like, okay, turn on some music, get this going, and making that choice to activate your own stoke. And another thing I think that fills that personal well of energy is like focusing on things that you enjoy, which for every person is different. And how sad it is that many people spend most of their days working on something that they don't really enjoy. What has your near-death experience taught you about how you want to like actually spend your time?
Well, for me, I was kind of one of the lucky ones. I've always known what I want to do, and whenever I get involved with something, it's 1,000% or zero. I'm kind of an old schooler in that way. If I do something, I charge it. But having it virtually being taken away, that's what really, really defines, your fire about getting, stoked again and wanting to have a normal process of work meets, enjoyment or recreation, for me anyway. But it's funny. I do other things for a living too. I'm a videographer, and I do. I teach people how to build businesses online. I have a couple of other businesses, and one of them is called Launch Expose, where I teach people how to build an online business. How do you go about it? And that's one of the very key things I say, even in that. And that's that's not about Stoke. This is about building a business, but it's the exact same question: is what do you really want to do? Because what you said is so true. There's so many people out there chasing this thing that is monetarily linked, and what they don't realize inside of them is they don't even want to do it, and they can't realize why it's not going right, or it's not expeditious enough, or why they don't feel right in their lives or aren't happy. I think you have to be passionate about what you do, regardless of what it is.
Because there's always going to be like external ups and downs and unexpected things that happen, no matter what path you choose. But if you choose a path that's aligned with what you enjoy, then you have kind of that endless energy and fire. That's why I have no doubt whatsoever that your website is just going to keep growing and keep being successful and be getting like massive exposure down the line, even more than it already is, because you really enjoy every bit of it, and your enthusiasm is contagious, and you touch on those powerful stories of each person, and so it's. I think it's quite impressive to see a person on a mission in something that they really believe in. It's kind of has an aura to it.
I appreciate that, man. What you're saying is true. I mean, it's fun. It's fun every single minute that I'm involved with the project. I love the idea that we can connect on a global scale. I love the idea that it's ageless. I love the idea that it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, your culture, anything. There's nothing that separates us from Live at Stoke. And any story is a good story, especially if it's beneficial to somebody in their circumstances. And then the rest of it's just my love affair with music and color and art and keeping our bodies and our minds healthy, doing fun stuff. Like, what is it that you dig? What is it that gets you off, so to speak, And I just love the idea of having that as a source of, I don't know, you can call it what you want, inspiration, entertainment, but to constantly keep the site fresh so that there's always new content. And I know over time what you're saying is going to be true. We have a global audience now. It is growing exponentially at a high rate of speed. I've also been going through the healing process, and I've also just newly moved to Costa Rica, so production on the site kind of slowed for a little while, but things are growing every day,
That's great. Well, Michael, it's been really a pleasure having you. So wait, you're working on a book, right?
I am.
Can you tell us a bit about when's it going to be out?
Well, right now, it's the very, very first stages of getting it out, but I am going to be writing hopefully 3 books this year. I've been focusing on wanting to do this the entire time. But this book, the first book, is going to be called Fire in the Stoke. And it is the story. It's basically just will catch you, up on who I was as a child, where I came from, my evolution, if you will, in terms of just sport, art, music, how I went to California, and then just eventually what happened to me. So it's a story of having an amazing life happening and then having it almost taken away from you, and then the bounce back in terms of where I am today. So it's going to fill in all the blanks in terms of what people don't know about me and Live at Stoked and how the project was created and all that stuff. But yeah, hopefully by the end of the year, this year, I'm going to do a seed launch probably mid-year, after the season here in Costa Rica. And my hope is that the book will be available before Christmas this year. It's going to be a 3-book series. The second book that's on the plate right now, and we already have contents for it, it's called Finding Pura Vida, which is how I came to be here in Costa Rica, how the surf community reached out to me and just gave me so much love and basically have been looking out for me since all this happened to me. And now I am actually living in Herradura, Costa Rica, and I'm at the base of the canopy in a rustico, and I'm the only crazy loco up there with all Ticomay Indians and Nicaraguan Indians, and the most beautiful community up there. And they've accepted me, which is incredible. So the third book will be called Living with Indians. And so we'll see how fast it goes. I don't know how long it'll be before I author them all, but I'm hoping between the end of this year and mid-year next year.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it seems like you have the intention, you have the story, you have the stoke.
Yeah.
So let us know when it comes out.
I definitely will. You'll be seeing it on social media. You'll see it on Live It Stoked. And
awesome.
Hopefully we can get out and do another interview on Karma Tribe, and I'll let people know.
For sure. For sure. This is the beginning of a long-standing collaboration, I'm sure.
Yeah, man.
So thank you very much, Michael, for joining us today.
Live It Stoked, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks very much. And we'll be in touch, and we'll get Carly back on for the favors of the week. And thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I could talk to Michael literally all day. So, hi, Sandy from Parrystown, Ontario, Canada.
Good morning, Sandy.
A balanced perspective. So true.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in, Sam.
Hello, David.
Hey,
From
Daddy-O's.
beautiful Moose Lake. Great to have you watching.
Thanks for tuning in, Dad. You're the bomb.
Well, I think our audience is
super awesome.
very stoked. As stoked as we are.
I'm stoked. I'm super stoked. Awesome, Dave. That was a great interview and great, super, like Sandy said in her comment, such a nice, balanced perspective. So thank you for that this morning.
And I love how we're going to balance now this inspiring story with some practical life opportunities manifesting themselves through Karma Tribe. We have 5 favors today. The favors of the week. And I'm going to be honest with you, like every Sunday morning when I look through the Karma Tribe site to see favors, I'm like a little nervous to see okay, well, what's available this week? Are we going to have 5 new amazing favors? And this morning I checked, and to my surprise, there were 20 or 30 new amazing new favors since last week. And some of the I read these 5 that I chose, and a tear came to my eye from how beautiful these favors were. And
because they're so open and honest and vulnerable and we just great and wonderful and from all around the globe.
From all around the world, reaching new corners of the globe each time. And this week I chose 2 that were in Spanish that we will translate to you because they were just too amazingly good to pass up. So friends, without any further ado, let's read some favors of the week. This is available on karmatribe.com.
Right. Let's do it. All right. So this one is a request from Alberto, coming from Guatemala City, Guatemala, to practice English. Hello, I'm taking English lessons, and I really need to practice my conversation. Someone, would you like to meet and talk?
Aww.
Someone meet up with Alberto. He's looking to improve his English.
I have been teaching English to a girl named Marianella, and through Karma Tribe, and her English has greatly, greatly improved, and it has opened all kinds of new opportunities in her life. So, and a new friendship has been born. So, guys, it's so special to teach someone English. So, connect with Alberto.
Or any language.
Okay. This is one of the ones in Spanish that I found super touching. So this is an offer from Miguel Jauregui in Guatemala City. I'll read it in Spanish first. Ayuda para superar depresión. Help to overcome depression is what he's offering. He says, quiero y puedo ayudarte a superar la depresión. Escríbeme y con gusto lo haré. I want and I can help you get over depression. Write to me, and with pleasure, I will do it.
That one's amazing. That's super special offer.
So,
thank you.
If you are facing depression, and if Spanish is, a language you have, reach out. There's help available.
For sure.
And just like Miguel, there's also quite a few other people offering similar things to this on Karma Tribe. So you are not alone.
You got a whole community. All right. Let's see this one. All right. This is an offer from Mino Figueroa, who is a local tour guide in San Salvador, El Salvador. For anyone who needs a local guide, especially for mythical places or little-known coves, I can help you know the magical side of our culture with great pleasure. Very cool. So if you're looking to explore all of the magical and mystical wonders of El Salvador, then you need to call Mino.
Wow.
Thanks, Mino.
Such a
After that,
beautiful
I
thing.
really want to go visit El Salvador. For sure. Oh, I love this one.
Okay, here's another Spanish one that I
Beautiful
just
one.
could not pass up. Okay, we have a request from Luis Rivas in the city of Juan Griego, Venezuela. Ayuda para diseñar un menú. He's requesting help in designing a menu. He says, tenemos un programa de alimentación para personas desnutridas. Estoy buscando cómo proporcionar proteínas con algas marinas en sopas con verduras, ya que es lo más económico. Okay, guys, he says, we have a program here in Venezuela for feeding malnourished people. As you know, Venezuela is going through some crazy times of unsettled
starving.
government, poverty, people hungry, crazy economic times. So this guy has a program for feeding malnourished people. He's looking for a way to give protein to people through seaweed and marine algae in soup, mixing it up with other vegetables like yucca or other, green vegetables, because this is basically the cheapest way to produce food for these people. Can you help him come up with recipes for this?
He needs a way to be able to use those like economic ingredients that are available to him in order to create these soups and nutritious meals so that he can feed the malnourished.
So
Pretty inspirational work he's doing.
If you have some ideas about recipes using algae and you only speak English, write to us and we will translate your correspondence with Luis,
Awesome.
so that he can help these.
And thanks
people.
for doing what you're doing, Luis.
Yeah, amazing stuff from Venezuela.
All right, another offer from Wilza Cup in Alba, Italy. A room. He's offering a room in Piedmont, Italy, and a tour of the area. Ooh. So
Where else,
Italy,
Carly? Where else but Karma Tribe
my
can you get
goodness.
a free room in Italy spontaneously available, plus a tour included?
Amazing. People
Oh,
are
I'm
awesome.
blissing out hard right now.
Me too.
Give me a hug.
Ah, David.
Oh, what a great show. What a great community we're part of.
I love
And
it.
what a beautiful stoked energy that's been shared this morning. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are.
Wherever you are, live it stoked.
Have a fantastic day.
Yeah.
Thank you for spending time with us. And see you next week.
See
Same
you.
time, same place.
I'm Blissin out.
Goodbye, friends. Have a great day. We love you.